There is a moment every couple knows. Not the big fights, not the hard years, the quiet ones. When you're lying next to the person you've loved for 30, 40 years, and something that used to be effortless isn't anymore. You don't talk about it. Neither does she. You just adjust. You tell yourself this is what getting older looks like, that the warmth you used to feel, that pull toward each other at the end of a long day, was just youth, and youth is gone. But here's the thing about that story. It's not true. And someone knew that. Someone has always known that. But what if it wasn't age that took it from you? What if someone did? Tonight, we're opening a vault that hasn't been touched in decades. Inside it, a root, small, unremarkable to look at, growing wild in the Andes Mountains at 14,000 feet above sea level, where the air is so thin most plants can't survive a single season. This root survived everything, and for 3,000 years, it kept couples alive in ways that no pill, no doctor, no prescription ever could. Tonight, you're going to find out exactly what they took from you and how to get it back. Welcome to Passion Garden. The archive opens in the Andes Mountains, Peru, 1438 AD, high in the Inca Empire before the Spanish arrived, before the laboratories existed, before anyone had ever heard the word pharmaceutical. There was a root. The Inca called it Maca. It grew in the harshest conditions on Earth: volcanic soil, brutal frost, winds that cut through anything. And yet, it didn't just survive, it thrived. Season after season, century after century, at altitudes where almost nothing else could breathe. The Inca warriors ate it before battle, not just for strength, for something deeper, something their wives understood too. Because when those warriors came home from the mountains, they came home fully. There are records, preserved by Inca healers, passed down through generations of Andean shamans, describing Maca as the root that remembers what your body has forgotten. They gave it to aging couples, to men whose fire had grown quiet, to women who missed the warmth of being truly wanted. It wasn't medicine in the clinical sense. It wasn't a treatment. It was a reminder that the body, even at 60, even at 70, still knows how to feel, still carries the memory of desire, of warmth, of the particular electricity that exists between two people who have built a life together and still want each other. That memory doesn't disappear with age. It doesn't fade with the years. It gets buried under stress, under routine, under the quiet weight of a world that stopped telling you it was still possible. But it's still there. It has always been there. Inca emperors kept Maca in their private gardens, not for their armies, for their marriages. Historians who studied Inca civilization noted something unusual. Couples in Andean communities aged differently than couples elsewhere. They stayed physically close into their later years. They touched each other. They looked at each other, not out of habit, out of desire. For thousands of years, this was simply known, passed from healer to healer, from grandmother to granddaughter, from one generation of lovers to the next. There was no mystery to it, no shame around it, just a quiet, unbroken understanding that the earth provides what the body needs, if you know where to look. Then the ships came, and everything changed. It is worth pausing here, worth sitting with the weight of what that sentence means, because what arrived with those ships wasn't just conquest. It wasn't just the erasure of a civilization. It was the beginning of a very long, very deliberate severing between people and the natural world that had sustained them for millennia. The Inca didn't have pharmacies. They had gardens. They didn't have prescriptions. They had knowledge, passed down through centuries, tested by generations, refined by healers who understood that the human body is not a machine to be fixed, but a living system to be nourished. Maca was part of that system, and when the old world arrived, it brought with it a different philosophy entirely, one that would eventually become the foundation of modern medicine. Find the active compound, isolate it, synthesize it, sell it. Nature was not the point. Profit was. In the 1990s, a group of researchers made a quiet trip to Peru. They weren't tourists, they were scientists, funded by interests that had everything to gain from what they were about to discover. They studied Maca, they isolated its compounds, they ran their tests, and what they found made them very, very interested. Maca contains a unique combination of alkaloids, compounds that interact directly with the endocrine system, the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, the precise biological mechanisms that govern how alive a person feels, how warm, how present, how connected to the person sleeping next to them. It wasn't magic, it was biology, ancient biology that a civilization had understood for 3,000 years, and that modern science was only now catching up to. These alkaloids work not by forcing the body into a response, but by reminding it of one. They support the body's own production of the hormones that regulate warmth, energy, desire, and connection, not by replacing what the body does naturally, by supporting it. The way sunlight amplifies a garden, not by doing the growing, but by making growth possible. This distinction matters enormously, because what the pharmaceutical industry eventually created, what they synthesized in a laboratory and sold back to you through a prescription, works in precisely the opposite way. It overrides, it forces, it achieves a narrow, temporary result while bypassing every other system that was supposed to be part of that experience. The warmth, the closeness, the feeling of being truly present with another person. The pill can't give you that. It was never designed to. You cannot patent a plant. A root that grows wild in the Peruvian Andes cannot be owned, cannot be monopolized, cannot generate billions in recurring revenue. So they did the next best thing. They took Maca apart, isolated one compound, synthesized it, stripped away everything that made it whole, the minerals, the amino acids, the natural alkaloids that worked together the way nature intended, and rebuilt it. Cleaner, patentable, profitable. Then they gave it a name, marketed it to your doctor, put it in a little blue package, and quietly, Maca disappeared from the conversation, not because it stopped working, because it worked too well to be free. Every couple who sat across from a doctor and heard, "This is just part of aging," every husband who felt shame he couldn't name, every wife who missed her husband and didn't know how to say it, they were never told about the root. They were handed a prescription instead, not because the prescription was better, because the prescription could be sold. There is a quiet grief in that, in knowing that something ancient, something free, something growing in the mountains for 10,000 years, was deliberately buried under the noise of a system that profits from your not knowing. And if you've felt it, if any part of what I'm describing sounds familiar, I want you to know something important. It was never your fault, and it was never inevitable. Maca is still growing, right now, at 14,000 feet, in the same volcanic soil, in the same mountains where Inca healers harvested it for emperors and warriors and the couples who refused to let age become distance. It didn't disappear. It was just buried under a lot of noise. The research is there, peer-reviewed, published, growing year by year. Maca supports healthy hormonal balance without synthetic interference. It nourishes the endocrine system gently, completely, the way nature intended. Men report feeling present again. Not medicated, not managed. Present, with themselves, with their partners, with the life they built together and are not done building. Women report a return of warmth, of wanting to be close, of reaching for their partner the way they used to, without thinking, without effort, because it felt natural, because it is natural. Couples who found their way back to Maca describe lying next to each other and feeling, for the first time in years, like they are actually there, actually together. Not two people sharing a bed out of habit, but two people who still choose each other every day and can feel that choice in their bodies. That is what was taken from you. Not a function, not a mechanism, a feeling. And feelings are exactly what Maca was always designed to restore. This is not a supplement story. This is not a sales pitch. This is a reminder, the same one the Inca healers gave to couples 3,000 years ago, that your body has not forgotten how to feel. It was just waiting for the right reminder, and that reminder has been growing in the mountains this whole time, Wild, free, at 14,000 feet where no pharmaceutical company can put a fence around it, waiting for you to find your way back to each other. If this vault opened something for you, leave a comment below. Tell me, when did you first notice that something had quietly changed between you and your partner? You don't have to share everything. Just tell me you know what I'm talking about. Because I think a lot of people watching this right now know exactly what I'm talking about, and they've never said it out loud. This is a safe place to say it. Subscribe to Passion Garden and hit the bell. Every video we make is another vault opened, another secret returned to the people it was always meant for. Every share preserves what they tried to erase. The next vault opens soon, and what's inside? It's been waiting even longer than this one.